Imagine a world where every problem, every conflict, and every moment of anger could be resolved by saying nothing at all. At first, this idea may seem almost impossible in our fast-paced world, where speaking up, reacting, and asserting ourselves feel like essential ways to communicate. Yet, in Buddhist philosophy, silence is far from a passive act. Instead, it's viewed as a powerful tool for achieving self-mastery, inner peace, and deep wisdom. Silence, as Buddhism teaches, isn't merely about not speaking, it's a path toward calming the mind, observing our thoughts without judgment, and connecting deeply with the present moment. In a world filled with constant noise and distractions, silence is a transformative practice, guiding us toward inner clarity and self-understanding. Today, we'll journey through the story of a Buddhist monk who showed the true power of silence, and along the way, we'll explore how this ancient wisdom can help us find calm and control in our own lives. By the end of this story, you may see silence in a whole new light, not as emptiness, but as a space for reflection, growth, and even healing. In Buddhist practice, silence goes beyond a mere quiet environment. It's an active form of meditation and an essential part of reaching self-awareness. Take, for example, the practice of vipassana meditation, a tradition thousands of years old that emphasizes extended periods of silence. In vipassana, practitioners sit quietly, observing their breath, sensations, and thoughts without reaction. Through this silent observation, they begin to see the nature of their mind more clearly. They start to identify the sources of their attachments, fears, and desires, all while cultivating a sense of peace. According to the Vipassana Research Institute, this form of meditation helps individuals develop profound insight, encouraging them to observe life exactly as it is, without immediately reacting to it. In silence, one begins to uncover hidden aspects of the self, qualities that are often buried beneath the noise of everyday life. This space of non-reactivity brings about a certain liberation, freeing us from the compulsion to constantly label, judge, or respond. Instead, silence allows us to witness thoughts as they arise and pass, helping us understand that we are not our fleeting emotions but something far deeper. Scientific research also supports the value of silence. Studies from institutes like the Mindfulness Research Center reveal that silence can reduce stress, improve focus, and even enhance mental health. When our minds are constantly stimulated by external sounds or our own busy thoughts, our nervous system stays in a heightened state of alertness, leading to fatigue and anxiety. Silence, on the other hand, gives our minds a chance to rest, reset, and rejuvenate. Neuroscientists have found that silent moments can trigger the brain's default mode network, a state in which the brain processes emotions, consolidates memories, and works through unresolved issues. In these moments of silence, we essentially allow our brains to heal and strengthen themselves. This neurological reset is akin to recharging a battery that's been constantly running low. Just as our bodies need rest to recover and function at their best, so do our minds. Silence offers this restful space, one where the mind can operate without constant input, allowing for moments of creativity, insight, and emotional processing. One of the most profound lessons on the power of silence comes from a story within Buddhist tradition. A wise monk, known across the village for his remarkable patience and stillness, once encountered an angry villager. This villager, upset and misled by rumors, confronted the monk and began hurling insults, accusing him of being hypocritical and insincere. Despite the intensity of the villager's words, the monk remained completely silent. He neither defended himself nor retaliated. Instead, he simply listened. His silence didn't imply agreement or submission, rather, it was a profound reflection of his inner peace and mastery over his emotions. Over time, the villager's anger began to wane, as if his own words were exhausting him. Finally, he demanded to know why the monk hadn't responded, asking, "Why don't you defend yourself?" The monk, with a serene smile, replied, "If someone offers you a gift, and you do not accept it, to whom does the gift belong?" This response caught the villager off guard. In that moment, he realized the monk had chosen not to accept the gift of anger, choosing instead to remain unaffected. The villager's anger, which he thought he was directing at the monk, ultimately belonged only to himself. This story teaches us a valuable lesson about the nature of anger, conflict, and our response to it. The silent monk's approach reflects the Buddhist belief that true strength lies not in overpowering others but in controlling one's own reactions. In situations of conflict or misunderstanding, silence allows for a pause, a moment to observe, reflect, and respond from a place of wisdom rather than impulse. This doesn't mean that silence is always easy. In fact, it can be one of the most challenging practices, as it requires a deep level of self-restraint. However, as the monk demonstrated, silence can act as a mirror, showing others their own emotions and sometimes even diffusing tension altogether. In a way, silence becomes a mirror that reflects the emotions, intentions, and motivations of others, giving them a chance to see themselves more clearly. Imagine applying this wisdom in your own life. Perhaps you're faced with criticism from a colleague, a disagreement with a loved one, or an unexpected confrontation with a stranger. Our natural reaction is often to respond immediately, to defend ourselves or to argue. But what if, like the monk, we chose silence instead? By not reacting, we create a space between the action and our response, a space that allows us to process our own emotions and consider the consequences of our words. This silence can become a tool for self-mastery, helping us navigate conflicts more mindfully. In fact, research from the Center for Mindful Living found that people who practiced mindful silence in tense situations reported lower stress levels and greater emotional resilience. By choosing silence, they found they were able to respond more thoughtfully and maintain stronger relationships. Silence, in this sense, isn't about suppressing thoughts or emotions, it's about giving ourselves the time and space to approach challenges with a calm, measured perspective. Incorporating silence into our daily routines can have transformative effects on our well-being. Starting the day with a few moments of silence, for instance, can set a tone of calm and focus, grounding us before the day's demands set in. Another approach is to practice mindful listening, where, instead of preparing our response as we listen, we focus solely on what the other person is saying. This type of listening, when paired with silence, deepens our understanding of others and enhances our empathy. Taking a silent walk, free from phones, music, or podcasts, can also be a powerful experience. Walking in silence allows us to connect with nature, observe our surroundings, and experience the world without distractions. And finally, ending the day in silence, a few quiet moments before sleep, can help us release the stresses of the day and promote restful sleep. These small practices of silence allow us to touch the peace that lies within us, a peace that is often drowned out by the noise around us. Through the story of the silent monk, Buddhism teaches us that silence is not a void but a rich space of potential. It's in this silence that we find our most authentic selves, unaffected by the judgments and opinions of others. By embracing moments of silence, we learn to observe our inner landscapes, to understand our emotions without being controlled by them, and to find peace in simply being. Silence, then, becomes a source of strength, a strength that doesn't need validation from the outside world. In a society that often encourages us to speak up and assert ourselves, the art of silence offers a refreshing counterbalance. Silence empowers us to choose when and how to respond, and in doing so, it gives us control over our own minds and our own peace. So next time you find yourself in a situation where anger or frustration begins to rise, remember the power of silence. Take a breath, step back, and allow a moment of calm to take root. Just like the monk, you may find that silence speaks louder than words, reflecting not weakness but a profound inner strength. With that, thank you for watching, and until next time.